Some little girls played house. Vanessa, she played mechanic. Every Saturday morning, long before cartoons hit the screen, she was already out the door headed to the one place that felt like magic, Grandpa Joe's garage. The smell of motor oil, the click of metal tools, the radio always humming some dusty old rock tune from the 70s. That garage wasn't just a workshop, it was a world. Her world. She'd sit on an upside-down bucket legs swinging, watching her grandfather work under the hood of rusted, forgotten classics, the kind of cars most people saw as junk. But not Grandpa, not Vanessa. And then came the day he pulled back the tarp, red, bold, beautiful. The light caught the curves like it was alive. A 1969 Corvette Stingray, Grandpa said, wiping grease from his hands. Rally red. Ain't she something? Vanessa didn't blink. She couldn't. The roar of the engine shook her bones, her 7-year-old heart imprinted forever. Right then and there, she whispered to herself, someday I'm gonna own one just like it. Not because it was flashy, but because that car wasn't just metal. It was soul. It was legacy. It was love built with hands and held with memory. It started with the little things, but little things, when they pile up, become wounds. Heather got the princess dresses, the sparkly ones with tulle and matching headbands. Vanessa, she got coveralls 2 sizes too big, hand-me-downs from some cousin no one remembered. Heather got ballet lessons at the most expensive studio in town. Vanessa got told we can't afford extracurriculars this year. Funny how no money always meant no money for her. Birthday parties were even more telling. Heather's sweet 16, a ballroom, a DJ, 50 guests and a cake taller than Vanessa. Vanessa's a grocery store cake with her name misspelled and a lecture about being responsible. And the kicker, Heather got a brand new car for graduation. Vanessa got a good luck with student loan speech and a bus pass. She never hated Heather, but the message was clear. One daughter was celebrated, the other was tolerated. And even as a teenager, Vanessa understood something most adults don't love. Without fairness, doesn't feel like love at all. It wasn't just a car, it was a promise. Every time Vanessa felt invisible at school, at home, at family gatherings, where Heather shined like the center of the universe, she held onto one memory. One sound, one shape, the deep growling purr of Grandpa's 69 Corvette Stingray, that rally red blur tearing down the back roads, the look in Grandpa's eyes when he let her sit behind the wheel. She was just a little girl, but in that moment, with her small hands gripping the steering wheel of a car older than her parents' marriage, she felt powerful, seen, whole. So she made a vow, not out loud, just a whisper like a secret between her and the engine. One day I'll own one just like Grandpa's. It wasn't about money. It wasn't even about the car. It was about being enough. It was about building something for herself that no one could take away or minimize or give to someone else just because they smiled prettier. Vanessa didn't want approval anymore. She wanted ownership. She wanted proof. And that vow, that quiet little whisper from a forgotten corner of childhood, it became her North Star. While her classmates partied in Cancun, Vanessa calculated compound interest. While her friends popped champagne to celebrate promotions, Vanessa packed leftovers into a Tupperware container again. 5 years, 70-hour work weeks, cold coffee, missed birthdays, blown-off brunches. While Heather was Instagramming bottomless mimosa brunches, Vanessa was building spreadsheets at midnight with eyes burning and wrists aching. She didn't complain, she didn't envy, she just worked. Every bonus check saved, every tax refund saved, every single cent that didn't go to rent or groceries went straight into one sacred account, her Corvette fund. She didn't buy designer bags, she didn't go on girls' trips, she didn't even date seriously. Who had time? People whispered she was too intense. They didn't get it, because this wasn't about a car, it was about claiming what was hers, about proving to herself and to a world that kept handing Heather the easy wins that hard work means something. And $85,000 later, she was ready. She found it on a Tuesday afternoon, buried deep in an online auction form, a 1969 Corvette Stingray, rally red, pristine, real. Her heart stopped. Then it raced. It was the one, owned by a retired collector in Wisconsin who was downsizing. The photos looked like art. The engine roared like memory. The price, $85,000. Every single dollar Vanessa had spent 5 years saving. She hesitated for 3 seconds, then clicked buy. The day she picked it up, she didn't bring anyone with her. Not Heather, not her parents, not even James. It was between her and Grandpa's ghost. She signed the papers, held the keys, and slid into the seat like she'd done it 1,000 times in her dreams. The leather, the steering wheel, the ignition. She turned the key and it growled to life just like Grandpa's did. And she wept. Not from sadness, not from exhaustion, but from the overwhelming feeling that she'd finally done it. All those years of being overlooked, dismissed, minimized. This car was proof. Vanessa Miller was no one's backup plan. She was no one's second best. She was a woman who kept her promises, even the ones whispered at age 7. But as the sun set and the wind filled the car, a strange feeling crept in. A quiet voice in the back of her mind. "It's too perfect," it whispered. "And perfect things never last." The email came at 8:42 a.m., subject line. "Urgent. Veronica wants to see you." Vanessa stared at the screen, heart skipping. Veronica was the managing director. Cold, sharp, impossible to impress. You didn't get summoned by Veronica unless you'd messed up or made history. She walked to the corner office, heels echoing on marble floors, running every scenario in her mind. Did I botch the Henderson file? Did I miss a deadline? Am I getting fired? The door opened. Veronica didn't smile. "Vanessa," she said, motioning to the chair across from her, "how's your Japanese?" The question caught her off guard. Conversational. I studied for 3 years in college." Veronica nodded once. "Good. I need you in Tokyo." Vanessa blinked. "Patterson Financial is expanding into Asia. They want a team lead who understands both cultures. We've pitched you." "We what?" Vanessa whispered. "You fly out Friday. 3 weeks. Big stakes. Big client." That was it. No pep talk, no hand-holding. Just Tokyo. Just the biggest opportunity of her career. Her hands were shaking as she walked back to her desk, and yet inside her something sparked. The girl who whispered promises behind the wheel of a Corvette was now being trusted to lead a multi-million-dollar deal across the world. But even as she packed her bags, a single question echoed in her mind. What about the car? It should have been the happiest packing day of her life. 3 weeks in Tokyo, an executive suite, a shot at VP. But all Vanessa could think about was the car. She looked out the window at the quiet hum of her red Corvette parked in the alley behind her apartment. Her building didn't have a secure garage, and lately break-ins had skyrocketed in her neighborhood. 3 luxury cars had been stolen in the last month alone. She knew how fast things could vanish in Chicago, and the thought of coming home and finding that space empty, it made her chest tighten. She called James. "I don't feel right leaving her here," she whispered. James didn't laugh, didn't call her dramatic. He got it. "I could swap my replica in tomorrow," he offered. No one would know the difference, but they both agreed on one thing: redundancy is safety. So she made the call, the one that changed everything. She drove 40 minutes to the suburbs that night, gravel crunching under the tires as she pulled into the familiar driveway. Her dad was mowing the lawn, still in work boots, still squinting at the sun like he always did. "Still a beauty," he said, running his hand across the hood. Vanessa smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. She parked the Corvette in her parents' garage like she was placing a crown on velvet. Slow, careful, precise. Her dad watched, impressed. Vanessa pulled off her gloves, turned to him and said softly, but clearly, "Don't drive it. Don't touch it. Start the engine once a week. Let it idle for 15 minutes. That's it." She held up a car cover, custom-fit, breathable fabric, stitched perfectly to the shape of her Stingray. "This goes on every night, and please, no one else goes near it. The insurance is tricky." Her dad gave a small laugh. "Vanessa, I know how to take care of a car," "I know," she said, "but this one's different." Her mother stepped in, drying her hands with a dish towel. "Come on, it's just a car." "No." Vanessa didn't say it out loud, but the word rang in her chest like a fire alarm. "It's not just a car. It's every year I cried in silence. It's every moment I was told no, while someone else got a yes. It's the only thing in my life that's 100% mine." But she smiled. She nodded, and she lied to herself just a little. They'll respect this. They know how much it means. It was James who suggested it first. "You know," he said casually, "we could swap the cars." Vanessa looked up. "You mean your parents would never know? Mine looks almost identical. Paint, tires, interior. From the outside, same beast. But mine's a replica, worth a third. If anything goes wrong, it's not your dream they damage." She paused. James wasn't trying to undermine her trust. He was trying to protect her from what she wouldn't say out loud. She didn't fully trust them, so the plan was made. That Friday morning, before her flight to Tokyo, James drove to Glenview before sunrise. They opened the garage, switched the two Corvettes quietly. Vanessa's real Stingray, the one with soul, went into James' climate-controlled garage. His replica slid into her parents' driveway like it belonged there. Not a scratch, not a sound. Nobody noticed. Before she left, Vanessa stood in front of the garage, heart racing, and whispered, "You stay safe." But she wasn't talking to James. She was talking to the part of her that believed in people. And she was hoping it wouldn't get crushed. The morning of her flight, Vanessa stood in the driveway, suitcase in hand, heart in knots. The replica Corvette sat quietly in the garage. Her parents were none the wiser. Her mom gave her a quick hug and a list of things to bring back from Japan. But her dad, he lingered. He walked her to the curb, looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time in years. "You sure about this trip?" he asked. Vanessa smiled. "I am, but there's something I need from you." She turned toward the garage. The car, her other half. "Take care of her, Dad," she said, her voice catching. "She's a part of me." Her dad nodded, serious now. "You have my word," but he didn't know the whole truth. He didn't know that what sat in that garage wasn't the real car. And more importantly, he didn't know that this wasn't just about a vehicle. It was about trust and how fragile it could be. As the taxi pulled away, Vanessa didn't look back. She couldn't, because part of her already knew some things once left behind may never be the same again. Vanessa stepped out of the taxi, dragging her suitcase across the driveway. The sun hit the suburbs of Glenview in warm streaks, but she barely noticed. Her heart skipped when she saw it, or rather, didn't see it. The garage, empty. Her dad's sedan sat where it always did. Mom's SUV gleamed in the sunlight, but the Corvette gone. She froze, her stomach dropped. No scratches, no warning, no note. Vanessa's mind raced. Did I forget to lock something? Did someone break in? Was it stolen? She approached the garage, slowly, hope battling fear. The quiet hum of the neighborhood did nothing to soothe her rising panic. The realization hit. Her car, her dream, her connection to Grandpa, her years of sacrifice was gone. Her fingers trembled as she fumbled for her phone. She texted James, "Where's the Stingray?" No reply, just the empty garage staring back at her. Vanessa stepped inside. Her mother greeted her with a smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Welcome home, sweetheart." "How was Tokyo?" Mom chirped cheerfully. Vanessa barely managed a distracted nod. Her eyes scanned the garage, empty. Her Stingray, gone. "Mom, where's my car?" The words came out steady, but her chest was pounding like a drum. Her mother tilted her head, lips curling into that smile that never told the truth. "Thanks to your car, our daughter is having the time of her life," she said, a cocktail of pride and smugness masked as cheerfulness. Vanessa blinked. Her stomach turned. Her mind raced. Did she just sell it? The words repeated in her head. Thanks to your car, not a thank you. Not concern, just justification. For Heather's luxury cruise, paid with Vanessa's blood, sweat, and tears. The betrayal hit like a slap. She froze. Her voice shook. "Excuse me," what Mom's smile widened unnervingly calm. Vanessa felt the first true spark of anger ignite, and she knew at that moment the battle had just begun. Vanessa picked up her phone, trembling. Her thumbs hovered over Instagram. She hadn't wanted to check, but she needed to know. She opened Heather's latest story, and there she was, smiling, laughing, a cocktail in hand, designer sunglasses perched on her nose, sun-drenched deck, Mediterranean water sparkling behind her. Vanessa's stomach sank, her chest tightened. Every moment of sacrifice, every exhausted paycheck, every lonely night flashing before her eyes. Her car, her blood, her work, funding this trip. All spent without her consent. All spent while Heather flaunted it to the world. The words echoed in Vanessa's head. Thanks to your car, our daughter is having the time of her life. It wasn't a smile. It wasn't happiness. It was a taunt. A mirror reflecting everything Vanessa had endured silently for years. She dropped her phone. A single thought consumed her. How could they? Vanessa's voice cut through the air, sharp and trembling. Where's my car? Her father froze, looking down at the floor. He shuffled his feet, his mouth open, closed, stammered. Nothing coherent came out. Her mother crossed her arms, head tilted, eyes narrowing. Oh, come on, Vanessa. Don't be so dramatic, she scoffed. Her tone light, her words venomous. Vanessa's heart pounded. 5 years of work, 5 years of saving, vanished. You sold it, didn't you? She demanded, stepping closer. The garage seemed to shrink around her. The walls, the cars, the air, all conspiring against her calm. Dad's voice wavered. Well, technically, we thought we could. His excuse crumbled mid-sentence. Mom laughed, a short, sharp sound as if dismissing her daughter's life like it were a minor inconvenience. Vanessa's hands shook. She clenched her fists. Every ounce of patience, every polite word she'd rehearsed evaporated. It wasn't just about the car anymore. It was about respect, boundaries, the years of being undervalued, and now she was standing at the edge, ready to fight. Vanessa's voice shook, barely controlled. How much did you sell it for? Her mother and father exchanged uneasy glances. Finally, her father muttered, $50,000. Vanessa blinked. $50,000. The car, the Corvette she had saved for, dreamed of sacrifice for, was worth $85,000. Every sleepless night, every skipped dinner, every extra job, all accounted for in those $35,000 missing dollars. Her chest tightened. The betrayal hit her like a hammer. They had sold it under her name without her consent at a fraction of its value. She struggled to process it. Did they even consider the consequences? The work, the trust, the memories. Gone. All gone. Vanessa felt the first real surge of anger in months, and beneath it the hollow ache of disappointment in those who should have protected her most. Vanessa stared at them, the shock, the lies, the betrayal, and then she laughed. Not a small chuckle, not a nervous laugh, a slow, deliberate laugh that filled the room. Her mother's smile faltered, her father's face drained of color. Their words, their excuses, all vanished into the sound of her laughter. You thought this would hurt me, Vanessa said, voice low but cutting. You thought you could sell my life, my memories, my dream without consequences. They didn't answer. They couldn't. Vanessa's laughter stopped abruptly. She stepped closer, calm, deadly calm. You sold the wrong car, she whispered. And for the first time they felt fear. Not fear of the law, not fear of money. Fear of her. The daughter they underestimated, the one they betrayed. Vanessa reached for her phone, hands trembling, heart pounding. Her parents were frozen, their eyes darting between her and the empty garage. She dialed James. The line clicked. James, where's the Stingray? She demanded, breath tight. There was a pause, then calm, steady still in my garage. Vanessa's knees almost buckled. Relief washed over her like a wave. The real car, the Corvette she poured years into, was safe. Her parents' faces paled even more. The smugness, the pride, the justifications evaporated instantly. Now the ones in the wrong were staring at the truth. Vanessa's lips curved into a smile, a mixture of triumph and controlled fury. Everything they thought they had accomplished gone. And she finally realized the power had shifted, from them to her. Vanessa stepped closer, eyes blazing calm but deadly calm. Her parents' smiles faded, replaced by confusion and dread. You didn't sell my car, she said slowly, letting the words sink in. Her mother's jaw tightened. Her father's hands twitched. You sold James's, Vanessa finished, voice cutting like steel. Silence. Her words hung in the air, heavy and undeniable. Her mother's face went pale. Her father's eyes widened. Every excuse, every justification crumbled instantly. Vanessa's gaze didn't waver. The daughter they underestimated now held the truth like a weapon. A weapon they couldn't deflect, couldn't spin, couldn't deny. And for the first time, the room filled with fear. Not of her yelling, not of confrontation, but the fear of realizing how deeply they had underestimated her. James stepped forward, calm but firm. You need to understand something, he said. His voice carried the weight of truth and consequence. This wasn't just a mistake. You forged a signature, created a fake VIN, and sold a car you didn't own. Vanessa watched their faces, pale, shocked, vulnerable. This is wire fraud, James continued. Electronic payment for a stolen vehicle. Each of these carries serious penalties. Up to 15 years in Illinois. You can't undo this with excuses. Her mother's mascara ran, her father swallowed hard, speechless. All their justifications, all the helping Heather stories evaporated. Vanessa felt a quiet power settle inside her. Years of being dismissed, overlooked, and undervalued all funneled into this one moment, and the scales had shifted. They weren't calling the shots anymore. She was. Her mother's voice cracked, tears streaming down, mascara ruined. We will go to jail, she whimpered, her hands clasped together, pleading, trembling. Her father's shoulders slumped. I didn't think I didn't know, his voice faltered under the weight of truth. Vanessa's gaze was icy, unwavering. Yes, she said calmly, you might. For the first time, her parents saw the reality of their choices. Not excuses, not family loyalty, not Heather's need for a cruise. This was legal, concrete, real. Vanessa felt a mix of anger and clarity, years of sacrifice, years of being dismissed, all funneled into this singular moment. Her parents' fear was earned, their power gone, Vanessa's absolute. Vanessa and James sat in the sleek office of Alicia Ramirez, a lawyer they trusted. Alicia leaned back in her chair, fingers steepled, expression grave. It'll be blunt, she said. This is serious. Forged signatures, fraudulent VIN, wire fraud, multiple felonies. Each carries up to 15 years. Vanessa's stomach sank. The legal weight of what had happened pressed down on her chest. James rubbed her hand gently. It's going to be okay, he whispered, but even he looked uneasy. Alicia continued laying out options: press criminal charges, sue for restitution, negotiate a private settlement. The room was heavy. The reality of the consequences, jail fines, lawsuits, was suddenly very real. The casual excuses, the "we were helping Heather" narrative, meaningless now. Vanessa nodded slowly, swallowing hard. It wasn't just anger anymore. It was responsibility, justice, in the knowledge that some lines once crossed can't be uncrossed. James leaned back, eyes searching Vanessa's face. We press charges, he asked softly. His voice was calm, but his eyes betrayed the weight of the question. Vanessa swallowed hard. The thought of her parents in jail made her stomach churn. But the thought of letting them get away with stealing someone else's property made her blood boil. She shook her head, running a hand through her hair. I don't know, she admitted. Part of me wants justice. Part of me doesn't want to destroy them completely. But they need to understand consequences. James nodded, squeezing her hand. Whatever we decide, we do it together. You're not alone in this. Vanessa exhaled slowly, the tension in her chest easing slightly. It was never just about a car. It was about trust, boundaries, and learning the hard way that actions have real consequences. No sooner had Vanessa begun discussing restitution than her phone buzzed. Aunt Sylvia, she wants to lecture me, Vanessa thought. Her intuition was correct. Vanessa Marie, the voice screeched through the phone. You can't seriously be threatening to send your parents to jail over a car. After everything they've done for you, you're being selfish. Vanessa stared at the ceiling, her jaw tight. Her parents had betrayed her. Heather had benefited. And now even extended family judged her. She took a slow, deliberate breath. Yes, she said quietly, deliberately. I'm being selfish because I refuse to let crimes go unpunished. Because boundaries matter. Because actions have consequences. James squeezed her hand. Her anger turned to clarity. It wasn't just about defending herself anymore. It was teaching everyone, even family, that some things cannot be ignored. Vanessa exhaled, trying to shake off Aunt Sylvia's words. Her phone buzzed again. It was Uncle George, Vanessa. His voice was calm, steady, and kind. I know what they did. Selling someone else's car without permission, that's criminal. You're right to be upset. You have every right to stand your ground. Vanessa felt a rush of relief wash over her. A lifeline in the storm of betrayal. Your grandpa would have been ashamed of them, Uncle George added, and Vanessa could almost hear the disappointment echoing across the years. Finally, she felt understood, validated, not alone. For the first time in days, her anger mixed with clarity and direction. She wasn't just fighting for a car. She was fighting for justice, respect, and accountability. Vanessa called Heather, trying to reach the sister she once loved. The line clicked. Vanessa, what's wrong? Heather's voice floated through the phone, carefree. Vanessa's jaw tightened. You know what's wrong, she said, voice sharp. You sold my car, my Corvette, my dream. There was a pause. Then Heather laughed, a light, dismissive sound. Oh, is that all? What's the big deal? Just buy another one. Don't make such a fuss. But Vanessa felt her blood boil. Years of sacrifice, 70-hour work weeks, frugal living. And this was Heather's response, casual, careless, unaware. James leaned close, whispering, she doesn't get it. Not yet. Vanessa exhaled slowly, forcing herself to stay calm. This wasn't about anger anymore. It was about accountability. It was about teaching Heather and her parents that actions have consequences. The room was tense, heavy with anticipation. Vanessa laid out the terms calmly, deliberately. $55,000 on restitution. Parents to take out a home equity loan, Heather to contribute from her savings, and Mom to sell jewelry to cover the remainder. A formal notarized apology. No excuses, words to be signed and witnessed. Family therapy, weekly sessions to confront patterns, boundaries, and favoritism. Her parents looked shell-shocked. They had underestimated Vanessa once again. This was not negotiation. This was accountability. Vanessa exhaled. It wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about humiliation. It was about making sure everyone learned the hard lesson: actions have consequences and respect matters. James squeezed her hand. "You did the right thing," he whispered. And for the first time in weeks, Vanessa felt a measure of peace. Heather sat across the table, arms crossed, jaw tight. "You expect me to pay for what I didn't do anything?" Vanessa's eyes met hers, calm but firm. "Heather, you benefited from this. You went on a cruise funded by a car that wasn't yours. You have to contribute." Heather scoffed, shifting uncomfortably. "This is ridiculous. It's not fair." But slowly, as Vanessa and James laid out the facts, the forged documents, the sale, the stolen funds, Heather's bravado began to crumble. Her shoulders slumped, tears welled in her eyes, and finally she whispered, I didn't think it was that serious. I'm sorry." Vanessa softened, letting a small nod encourage her. It wasn't about punishment anymore. It was about learning responsibility, accountability, and empathy. The first cracks in Heather's entitlement were showing. Growth had begun. The next weekend, Vanessa watched as her father carried lumber and hammered nails in the yard, sweat dripping down his forehead. A small but powerful symbol of responsibility. Her mother, meanwhile, carefully packed and sold pieces from her jewelry collection, the glint of diamonds and gold replaced with the weight of restitution. Vanessa observed quietly. This was not showmanship. This was accountability in action. James squeezed her hand. "They're learning," he whispered. Vanessa nodded. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't easy. But each hammer strike, each jewelry sale was a step toward understanding the impact of their choices. The family was beginning to make amends, slowly, painfully, but sincerely. The day of the formal apology arrived. Vanessa, James, and her parents sat together, tension thick in the air. Her mother's voice cracked, trembling. We failed you. We're sorry, James. We didn't realize the consequences." Her father nodded, head lowered, ashamed. Their eyes avoided Vanessa's, but she could see the sincerity in their gestures. James accepted the apology, calm but firm. Vanessa watched silently, letting the moment sink in. It wasn't about forgiveness yet. It wasn't about erasing the betrayal. It was about acknowledgement, accountability, and starting to rebuild trust. The notarized apology, the restitution, and their visible effort to make things right created a turning point. Finally, the family had taken the first real step toward healing. Vanessa leaned back, eyes steady, breathing even. The storm of betrayal had passed for now. She didn't gloat. She didn't seek revenge. She had a clearer purpose: justice. Every restitution payment, every apology, every step her parents and Heather had taken it was about accountability, not humiliation. James watched her, admiration in his eyes. "You're incredible," he whispered. "Even after everything, you stay calm." Vanessa nodded, a small smile touching her lips. "Yes," she said softly, "calm doesn't mean weakness. Justice doesn't need vengeance." She looked at her family, the tension still palpable, but slowly loosening, and she asked herself silently, is true healing possible after this kind of betrayal? The question lingered. The story wasn't over. Not yet. The family gathered around the table, the air thick with tension and unspoken words. Vanessa took a deep breath, letting her eyes scan the room. Heather sat across from her, cheeks still slightly red from the previous week's lessons. Her parents avoided eye contact, at first shifting in their seats. "This is awkward," Vanessa admitted, breaking the silence. Her voice calm, neutral, inviting honesty. Her father cleared his throat. "Yes, it is," he said, a small nod. "We've made mistakes. We're learning." Vanessa allowed herself a small smile. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't free of past hurt, but it was real, honest, and shared. James sat beside her, supportive but quiet. Every cautious glance, every small gesture, a reminder that change takes time, but the first step had been taken. After dinner, the conversation began to shift. Small talk led to shared memories, and shared memories led to opportunities. Dad cleared his throat, a mixture of hesitation and hope in his voice. "Vanessa, I know I've been distant from your passion," he admitted. but maybe we could restore an old truck together, just like your grandfather used to do with you." Vanessa blinked surprised. A lump formed in her throat. The offer wasn't just about a project. It was about connection, trust, and recognition. She smiled, softly, warmth spreading through her chest. "Yes, Dad, I'd like that," she said. James gave her a reassuring squeeze. For the first time, Vanessa felt that the family she'd longed for was slowly coming back piece by piece. Weeks had passed since the restitution and apology. Heather returned to work, her demeanor quieter, more thoughtful. No more dramatic complaints, no more flaunting. She had begun to understand consequences, boundaries, and respect. One evening, as Vanessa shared stories from her busy day, Heather paused, hesitated, and then softly asked, "How was your day?" Vanessa froze, touched by the simple question. A small smile curved her lips. It wasn't just polite, it was genuine. For the first time, Heather was seeing Vanessa as a person, not a rival, not an obstacle. A bridge was forming, one small act at a time. James watched quietly, proud. Vanessa nodded subtly to him, feeling that the family was finally learning the lessons that mattered most. Later that evening, as the family prepared to leave the dining room, Vanessa's mother called her aside. "I made something for you, James," she said softly, holding a gift bag. Vanessa and James exchanged curious glances. Inside was a framed document, the title to James's replica Corvette, accompanied by a handwritten note. "Boundaries matter," her mother explained. "This is a reminder and an apology. We promise never to interfere with your property again." Vanessa felt a warmth in her chest. Not grandiose, not dramatic, just sincere. It wasn't about the car itself. It was about respect, understanding, and recognition of personal space. She nodded to her mother, a quiet acknowledgement of change. Even small gestures can carry powerful lessons. Vanessa slid into the driver's seat, the familiar rumble of the 1969 Corvette Stingray greeting her like an old friend. The engine roared beneath her hands, but it wasn't just metal and rubber anymore. It was her perseverance, her sacrifice, and her grandfather's legacy. It was the embodiment of standing up for herself, setting boundaries, and demanding respect. As she drove along Lake Michigan, the wind in her hair, she reflected on the journey, the betrayal, the anger, the confrontation, and finally the small victories of accountability and growth. This car had carried more than her body. It had carried lessons, resilience, and hope. Vanessa smiled, eyes bright with understanding. Justice had been served. Boundaries had been respected. Healing had begun. And for the first time in a long time, she felt truly at peace. Vanessa looked out over the lake, the Corvette parked beside her. She spoke softly, almost to herself. "Not everyone will understand you. Not everyone who loves you will know the right way to show it. But love, real love, doesn't trample boundaries. It doesn't excuse wrongdoing in the name of helping someone. Sometimes you have to stand up, not to break people apart, but to teach them how to love you the right way." Boundaries, respect, accountability. These aren't just rules. They're the foundation of every healthy relationship. And sometimes the most important victories aren't about possessions. They're about being seen, heard, and valued. Vanessa smiled, eyes glistening. The roar of the Corvette faded behind her, but the lessons she carried would last a lifetime. Life teaches us that not everyone who loves you will always act in your best interest. Boundaries are not selfish, they are essential. Vanessa's story reminds us, stand up for what belongs to you, whether it's your possessions, your dreams, or your values. Accountability and honesty are the foundations of trust. Forgiveness is a process, but enforcing respect and boundaries is non-negotiable. Sometimes the most meaningful victories aren't material. They're about being respected, valued, and seen for who you truly are. If Vanessa's story inspired you, hit that subscribe button and join our community. Share your experiences in the comments. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family or stand up for what's yours? Remember, every boundary you honor strengthens your self-respect. Don't miss our next story. More emotional, inspiring, and real-life lessons are waiting.